"Let the record show," croaked Admiral Zorn, his gills twitching in irritation, "that the unified fleet does not support the continuation of Earth's Level 7 quarantine. It is outdated." The chamber buzzed. Over 300 species, all colors, appendages and postures, shifted in their elevated seats. Some murmured, some hissed. Most stared straight ahead, refusing to be the first to look toward the center podium. Where he stood, Elder Vix Thanar didn't speak. Not yet. He had been alive long enough to watch stars die and be reborn. The last of the progenitors. The species that built the Council. The species that tamed black holes, grew ships from thought alone, and mapped the bones of galaxies. And yet, here he stood, draped in ceremonial black, shoulders hunched with memory. Still breathing, still warning, still ignored. Zorn clicked his claws impatiently. "With all due respect, Elder Thanar, humanity has been spacefaring for less than 4,000 years. Their most dangerous weapon is an orbital cannon system held together by sarcasm and duct tape. Are we really going to let some ancient superstition dictate galactic policy?" He glanced around for support. Several younger council members nodded. That was when Vix Thanar opened his mouth, and the chamber went silent. Not because of volume, but because of the weight. "I was already old," he rasped, "when your kind first discovered gravity." Zorn shifted uncomfortably. Vix turned slowly, addressing the chamber instead of the Admiral. "You misunderstand Earth. You think the quarantine is about humans." He paused. "It is not." Silence. Real silence. The kind that coils in the gut and waits. "Earth is not feared," Vix continued, "because of what walks it now. Earth is feared because of what it hides." He looked upward, as if staring through layers of time. 9 million years ago, before mammals ruled your precious humans, my kind discovered a world tucked against a blue star. We had already deciphered quantum singularity threads. We had bent entropy. We were progenitors. There was nothing we feared." He let that sink in. "Except that planet." Zorn snorted. "With all due respect, that sounds like myth." Vix turned to him slowly. "Do you think we mark worlds as forbidden for fun? The data says humans are aggressive, yes, but no more so than Traskian shock soldiers or even your own kind in the Hibernum Wars. And their tech, barely 5th tier." Vix's voice dropped to something that didn't belong in a council chamber. "Because we didn't let them advance, because we didn't let them find what we found." The room shifted. Councillors whispered now. Zorn laughed, forced. "And what exactly did you find, Elder?" Vix's 6 eyes focused like planets aligning. "We sent 12, Zorn blinked. 12 what?" "Progenitor scientists, explorers, titans of intellect. They entered Earth's atmosphere to study it. We never heard from them again." That silenced even the hissing species. Vix continued. "We did not panic. We sent recon drones, ghost probes, memory lace fields. We tried to reach them, but Earth did not allow it." Zorn scoffed. "Earth didn't allow it." Vix's expression didn't change. Something answered, but it wasn't them. The memory room darkened. A projection bloomed above Vix, a spinning ancient hologram encoded in the fractal pattern of progenitor language. The room translated automatically into standard visuals. A map, a glowing Earth, 12 entry vectors. Then, static, glitches, screaming static, shapes in the trees, flashes of something that wasn't quite animal, not quite machine, something older. One shape lingered, a towering figure of light and bone walking through ancient jungle, not reacting to sensors, not reacting to time. The footage cut out. The room was dead still. "This is your evidence," Zorn said at last. "Some ghost story, some jungle glitch." "You think humans are what's dangerous on Earth?" Vix asked quietly. "They are children, screaming into the dark, but that darkness has teeth, and we taught them to ignore it." He pointed at the spinning planet. "You don't understand. We progenitors never ignored it, and we still failed." A councillor from the Ethexic species raised one glistening limb. "Why not destroy the planet?" Vix gave a long, terrible smile. "We tried." His words froze the chamber. Zorn laughed again dryly. You're saying your people, the Progenitors, masters of galactic design, couldn't destroy one planet? We unmade stars. We could snuff civilizations in a breath. But when we targeted Earth, Vix's gaze glazed with memory. Our weapons misfired. Our AI went mad. One of our warships sank into its own hull. Earth didn't fight back. It just refused to die. His voice dropped lower. And something watched us as we tried. Now the room wasn't just tense, it was terrified. Species that didn't fear black holes were now staring at a blue and green planet on a spinning display like it had teeth. A Fexari delegate leaned forward. "But what is it? What's on Earth?" Vix was quiet for a long time, then whispered, "We don't know. That's why we left." The projection vanished. The lights returned. Zorn stood, angry now. "This is nonsense. I've visited Earth. It's full of food channels and recreational violence. The worst thing I encountered was a teenage girl with a fusion chainsaw who offered me bubble tea." The chamber laughed nervously, except for Vix. "Then she let you leave," he said simply. That silenced them again. "You think humans run that planet? They do not. They've just made arrangements." Zorn grunted. "You're scared of fairy tales. We are the Council. We have fleets. We have void guns. We have mind-synced planetary breakers." "You have no idea what sleeps beneath that soil," Vix snapped, voice breaking for the first time. "Because you were never there before humans. We were." He tapped the podium once, and the final image appeared. A grainy shot, ancient, pre-human era, a tree, twisting, moving, watching, no roots, just shadow and eyes. The room erupted into 100 simultaneous languages, confusion, denial, demands. Zorn stood frozen, face pale. Vix Thanar simply turned away. "The Council may vote. I cannot stop it, but I will leave you with this." He paused at the chamber's edge, turning back one last time. "You can invade Earth. You can study it, colonize it, mock it. But if you dig too deep..." He looked at the stars projected on the chamber ceiling. "Don't scream when something answers. It won't be human." Council clearance was expedited within the hour. A full recon mission, codename Clarity Descent, was authorized under Admiral Zorn's direct command. It would be surgical, professional, clean. No population engagement, no offense. Just a quiet insertion into an uninhabited region of Earth for deep core scans and sub-relic sweeps. The location? The Siberian Shelf, an ancient zone untouched by human urbanization. Zorn approved it himself. "We'll find the truth beneath the snow." What he didn't say was that he wanted Elder Vix Thanar humiliated. Publicly. Finally. He'd had enough of the fear-mongering and riddles. Earth wasn't special. It was just loud. And humans, glorified primates with ambition problems. He never once considered what else might live there. The recon ship, Sparrow of Unity, was the best of its kind, cloaked in gravitic folds, shielded from orbit-to-ground scans, and stocked with every known alien sensor suite. It descended into Siberia at 0217 UTC, its stealth hull kissing frozen fog. Inside were 14 crew members, diverse, elite, confident. Their lead analyst, Darniv Vel, briefed the team as the landing gear crunched over the ice shelf. "Mission profile is low risk. Our goal is to test the Elder's claims by probing subatomic anomalies in Earth's crust. We are not to engage with locals or any wildlife. Scan, sample, depart." The ship's AI added, "Estimated exposure time, 3 hours. Probability of conflict, less than 1%. The ramp lowered, and Earth greeted them with absolute stillness. No wind, no sound, just snow falling too slowly, like time was hesitant. First anomaly was minor. Seismic readings refused to stabilize. Each scan gave different depth profiles. One moment, the ice was 10 meters thick. The next, 200. Darniv recalibrated his sensor glove. Still wrong. Then came the compass drift. No magnetic poles, no north, just spin. "That's impossible," said a Glavian geotech. "Even Earth's primitive maps have stable polar readings." Darniv nodded. "Something's interfering. Could be local tech. We'll send a micro-drone for core sampling." The drone launched. It made it 30 meters before its feed turned black, then red, then something blinked. "Wait, rewind that," Darniv said. The screen flicked back, frame by frame, snow, more snow. Then, a flicker, a shape, not heat, not metal, just an outline of something standing, still, looking straight at the drone, with eyes that weren't eyes. The Glavian whispered, "Did it just see the drone?" Then the feed cut to static. The team froze. Outside, still silence. They launched a second drone and gave it legs. They named it Calm Star. It made it 20 paces from the ship before its joints began freezing, not from cold, but from resistance, like the air itself was pushing back. Darniv watched the feed glitch once, twice, then the feed went still. Nothing moved in the image until a shape passed behind a tree, tall, thin, not human, not anything. Then the screen didn't go black. It turned to mirror, showing the crew, in real time, from behind, inside the ship. "Is that a loop?" someone asked, voice cracking. Darniv stood. "That's us. That's the current timestamp. But we're in the ship." "Exactly. Something out there is sending us an image of inside the ship, from outside." He turned slowly toward the ramp. No one was there, but the screen still showed it. Something was watching them watch themselves. Back in orbit, Zorn waited impatiently aboard his cruiser, Valor's Reach. No word yet. Just a single data packet with a blinking header, encrypted. "Play it," he ordered. The feed opened, showed the Sparrow of Unity's interior, empty, not destroyed, just vacant, seats unbuckled, boots on the floor, no bodies, no signs of violence, just the absence of presence. And over the speakers, something breathing, rhythmic, deep, wet. Then, faintly, a whisper, not from the crew, not from the AI, just one sentence. "We saw you before you were born." Then the feed cut. Zorn demanded answers. He ordered an orbital scan, but every satellite that turned its lens toward the region glitched, not just went dark, they glitched in synchronization, as if following orders. By the time he gave the order to launch a recovery team, it was too late. The Sparrow of Unity reappeared, drifting, no damage, doors sealed, but empty, not a single crew member aboard. The ship's data cores, wiped, its sensors, rewritten with a new language, a language no known species recognized, except one. Elder Vix Thanar was escorted to a secure decryption room on Ares 9. The language on the core wasn't from Earth, it wasn't from humans, it was older, it was Progenitor, but with variations, corrupted, modified, as if something ancient had been speaking back. Vix read it, once, then stood. His aides asked him what it meant. He whispered, "They learned our words, by studying what we feared." He turned to the Council's emergency channel, his face pale, his voice like stone cracking. "The recon team is gone, their ship returned, but not them." Zorn blinked. "Then they're dead?" Vix shook his head. "No." "What then?" Vix didn't answer immediately. Then he looked up with eyes older than civilization. "They've been seen." And in the core logs of Sparrow of Unity, buried in the code, a single glyph repeated across every system, a spiral, and 4 dots, 2 above, 2 below, a symbol, a face, something with eyes, watching, still watching. Dr. Lena Mirek didn't believe in ghosts. She believed in quantum fossils, planetary memory fields, and hyper-evolutionary biosignatures. She had excavated extinct species encoded in black hole radiation, mapped psychic echoes on dead moons, and cracked languages that hadn't been spoken in 20 million years. But Earth was different, and now she couldn't stop shaking. The footage from Sparrow of Unity kept looping across her datapad, the part where the drone feed turned into a live mirror, where the ship's crew looked into their own reflection from outside. She watched it over and over, and every time her gut screamed, not from fear, from recognition. Lena was human, but she wasn't from Earth. Born on the Martian megaspire of Revan Kai, she had never stepped foot on her species' homeworld. It was off-limits, restricted, quarantined, not because of politics, not because of war, because of something worse, reverence. But reverence breeds curiosity, and Lena had always been the kind of woman who dug into graves everyone else swore were cursed. So when she saw the recon footage, the symbols burned into the ship's memory banks, she didn't hesitate. She sent one encrypted transmission to a private vessel hidden in the orbital debris ring of Jupiter. "I'm going in." She didn't use official clearances. She used old codes, ancestral keys from Earth's pre-expansion epoch, stuff no one remembered, stuff she had preserved. The moment she landed in Siberia, she felt it. Weight, not from gravity, from history. The ground itself thrummed, not like seismic activity, but like breath. The trees didn't sway with wind. They watched, and above all, nothing moved without meaning. She activated her bioscanner, tuning it to subcellular harmonics. Nothing. Then again. Still nothing. She stepped forward. Snow crunched beneath her boot. The scanner buzzed, once, twice, then stopped. Not like it failed, like it was listening, and responded. Her screen turned black. Then words, glowing, ancient progenitor glyphs, crawled across the display. "Welcome back." Lena froze. The scanner couldn't translate. It wasn't programmed for full proto-root code, but she could. Barely, because she'd spent her life decoding dead languages, and this one wasn't dead. It was interactive, alive. She ran her glove along the nearby stone outcropping, one carved with shapes long eroded by time. Suddenly, the stone pulsed. Software gentle, then opened. There was no door, just a split in the earth, a vertical seam, like the planet remembered how to let something in, or something out. She stood at the edge, heart hammering, then descended, alone. The underground was impossibly vast, miles of darkness humming with awareness. The further she went, the less her equipment worked. Her flashlight flickered, her audio logs played in reverse. Gravity twitched. At one point, her own hand seemed to shimmer with age. For a second, she thought she saw wrinkles, deep, aching, impossible wrinkles on a hand that moments before had been 30 years young. But she kept walking, because the silence felt like an invitation. And deep down, she knew something wanted her to see. She found it 3 miles down, a chamber, carved into the stone with impossible symmetry. No lights, but still visible, glowing not with energy, but remembrance. And in the center, a being, not alive, not dead, wrapped in roots that weren't roots, suspended, watching. A humanoid shape, but wrong, too symmetrical, too ancient. Its face was smooth, no features, until Lena stepped forward. Then it opened its eyes. She screamed, not from fear, from understanding, because those eyes weren't eyes, they were reflections, and for one heartbeat she didn't see herself. She saw humanity, all of it, every war, every scream, every heartbeat, every death, all compressed into a single look. She staggered back. The being never moved, but Lena heard its voice in her head. "You were not first. You were not chosen. You were permitted." Her breath caught. "What are you?" she asked aloud, tears running unbidden. The voice answered without language, just sensation, like a memory waking inside a memory. And suddenly Lena knew. This being didn't come from Earth. It made Earth. She collapsed to her knees, mouth dry, mind unraveling. The being pulsed once more. The others tried to touch us. She saw the 12 progenitors, explorers, scholars, dissolving, not killed, absorbed. They were clever, but not careful. "You are both." Lena's voice cracked. "Why let me come this far?" Silence. Then, "Because you asked." She didn't remember leaving the chamber, didn't remember ascending. All she knew was that when she opened her eyes, she was back at the ship. The ramp down, snow untouched, except for a single new symbol carved into the hull, the spiral, and the 4 dots. Beneath it, in English, "We are not alone, and we never were." Lena transmitted the message, then vanished. Her ship left Earth orbit in silence, never registered at any port, never seen again. Only the transmission remained, and the moment the Council received it, Elder Vix Thanar collapsed, not from fear, from relief. "She made it back," he whispered. One aide asked, "That's good, right?" Vix Thanar, the last of the progenitors, shook his head. "Number it means they're ready to speak again." And across the stars, deep in the cores of listening stations, something began to respond. A signal, slow and deep and not human. a voice buried beneath the noise of time, calling out, not to the Council, not to Vix, not to humans, but to Earth itself. Council emergency session, 09 VK Delta location, encrypted Ethernet broadcast. Attendance, 317 out of 341 registered species. Speaker, Elder Vix Thanar, last progenitor. There are things, Vix said slowly, voice cracked with the weight of memory. Older than species, older than thought, older than form. The chamber was full, but silent. Not a single representative dared interrupt, because the signal had been received, and everyone had heard it. It didn't speak in words, it spoke in recognition, a pattern so precise it bypassed translation protocols and embedded itself into dreams. Entire planets woke screaming the same numbers. Lena Mirek's message had been traced. Her ship, gone. Her research logs, corrupted, except for one final line of audio recovered from the black box. They were here before the timeline, and then the glyphs again. Spiral, 4 dots, a face in the dark. Elder Vix raised a shaking hand. A new projection filled the chamber, a record that had never been shown publicly, the last record of the 12 progenitor scientists. It played without sound, just data, their descent onto Earth's surface 9 million years ago, their scans, their excitement, then errors. One by one, their comms cut, not with distortion, with finality, as if something erased the transmission from existence. At the end of the file was a frame the Council had never seen, a still image recovered from a backup array deep within Vix's personal archives. It showed the 12 standing before something massive, towering, covered in stone and bone and language. Behind them stood a figure, not one of them, something tall, thin, observing, and the caption written in Progenitor script, "It let us see it, and we did not survive the knowing." Admiral Zorn, once dismissive, now sat pale and twitching. "So you're saying the humans, what? Worship it?" Vix shook his head. "Number, they survived beside it. That's why they scream so loudly into the stars. They're afraid, not of us, not of war, of waking it." A Kalar diplomat leaned forward, skin vibrating. "Then why do humans act like they rule Earth?" Vix turned. "Because it allows them to." Meanwhile, on Earth, beneath the Atlantic Trench, something ancient stirred. It wasn't a beast. It wasn't sentient in any way the galaxy understood. It was foundational, a framework built before carbon, before blood. It had slumbered while Earth grew bones, grew skin, grew humans. But it remembered, and now it knew the galaxy was watching again. Somewhere near the ruins of the Tunguska site, Lena's last ship, a drone, emerged from the soil. Not crashed, not damaged, reborn, carved with new geometries that rewrote time into shapes. Orbiting satellites picked up the structure as it unfolded, not into a weapon, into a lens. And it began transmitting, not to the Council, but through them. The feed appeared in every Council chamber, every screen, every neural link. A simple message: this planet was never yours to classify. You live because it chooses silence. Do not seek what never sought you. Vix stood. "Do you see now?" Zorn didn't respond. His hands trembled as the spiral glyph glowed faintly across his desk, burned into the material like a scar. "Why not destroy Earth?" someone whispered again. Vix's voice was low. "Because destruction is loud, and if you make enough noise," he gestured to the galaxy's star map, "it might listen." A few council members demanded immediate embargoes, a return to pre-contact protocols, isolation of Earth, no trade, no tech sharing. But the younger ones? They asked something worse. They wanted to investigate, to learn, to mine, because curiosity is louder than caution, and greed never learned. So the council split, and 3 covert expeditions were launched, one funded by the Azari Defense Bloc, one by private merchant guilds, and one by a rogue university research conglomerate from the Outer Rim. Each landed in different regions, each sent back one burst transmission. The Azari team, their feed ended mid-laughter, their crew standing in a jungle clearing, speaking in a language they never knew. The guild team, their last image was of them digging until the ground turned to flesh. The university team, their ship returned, empty, no crew, but a new log entry, added after launch. "We're not missing. We've joined. You will too." Back at the council, Elder Vix stood in front of the rotating Earth hollow. Behind it, the spiral began to animate. 4 dots, eyes, watching, waiting. He said one sentence, and the room finally believed him. Humanity was never the apex predator. They're just the thing you see before the real one arrives. It happened all at once. Every listening post on the edge of the Orion expanse went dark. 312 outposts silenced in sequence. No alarms, no attacks, just static. Then came the pattern, the spiral, 4 dots, and a 5th, appearing slowly, pulsing, awake. In the Galactic Council's high chamber, emergency protocol was overridden by a transmission that didn't come from any recognized species. There was no voice, just a signal. It didn't translate into words. It translated into emotion, fear, not for Earth, but from it. Elder Vix Thanar stood again. He was shaking. He hadn't moved from the council chamber in 6 rotations. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't blinked in hours. Now, as the spiral symbol hovered in the air, flickering in unnatural rhythms, he finally spoke. They broke quarantine. Zorn, now gaunt, no longer proud, whispered hoarsely, "The recon teams." "No," Vix said. "The planet." Across council systems, weather patterns began to shift. Not on Earth, on other worlds. Planets thousands of light years away began to register sudden changes. Time warps, biological regressions, a language emerging in sleeping minds, children speaking in symbols before speech, drones malfunctioning when scanning Earth-based artifacts. Something ancient had begun to stretch, not across space, across reality. Back on Earth, humans lived as they always had, loud, restless, unaware, but not all of them. There were stories now, of dreams that never stopped, of people waking in the middle of the night, reciting names that predated stars, of animals sitting still, staring at the same spot in the air as if watching something walk through. And always, the spiral, spray-painted on alley walls, drawn by school children, etched into frost on windows, 4 dots, and now a 5th one slowly forming. Vix gathered the council for what he declared would be his final address. He walked, not hovered, dressed not in ceremonial robes, but in progenitor armor, ancient, humming, crackling with memories. He placed a single artifact on the podium, a bone fragment, shaped like no known species, glowing faintly, found on Earth. "In the end," Vix said, "it was never about humans. They're reckless, curious, dangerous, yes, but they are not what Earth contains." He looked out at 300 trembling leaders. "We always assumed Earth was behind, primitive, unrefined. But what if we were never ahead?" The chamber stilled. He pointed at the spiral glyph. "That is not a warning. It's a key." And then, he smiled for the first time. But it was not joy. It was relief. "Because after all these cycles, I finally understand." The hologram of Earth spun slowly in the center of the chamber. Behind it, the spiral now shined. Complete. 5 dots, 5 eyes. The final signal arrived, translated by no system, understood by all. "You called us myth. You called us extinct. But we were just waiting, and you kept knocking. So we've opened the door." The galaxy changed in that moment. Across civilizations, weapons shut down. Ships stopped mid-flight. Artificial intelligences locked up, repeating one line, "It sees me." On Earth, nothing changed. Not yet. Humans continued arguing over coffee and politics, but the sky felt closer, and some looked up without knowing why. Back in the council chamber, Admiral Zorn wept, not out of shame, not out of guilt, but because he understood, at last, humanity had survived Earth, but they had never conquered it. They had been protected by it, fed by it, used by it. They weren't the apex, they were the bait. The spiral hadn't been watching them, it had been watching through them. In the ruins of the Progenitors' deepest archive, on a planet long turned to dust, an ancient message finally unlocked. It was a warning, not about Earth, not about humans, but about what Earth was built to contain. And the final line was clear, "Never awaken what does not sleep." It only dreams you because it's bored. Now, it wasn't bored anymore, and the galaxy had run out of time.